The board was silent except for the ticking of a gold watch on the millionaire's wrist. No one moved. The boy, no older than 10, stayed at the pieces. He wasn't blinking. Across from him sat Victor Langston, a hedge fund tycoon who hadn't lost a game of chess in 20 years, not to anyone who mattered, anyway. Victor chuckled under his breath. "Come on, little man. Your turn." The guests gathered around the table laughed. Some held their wine glasses delicately. Some tapped on their phones, barely hiding their amusement. They thought they were watching a joke. A party trick. The boy lifted his hand slowly and pushed his knight. The room got quieter. Victor's eyes narrowed, tracking the move. He frowned, leaned closer. "Who?" Then the boy spoke. "Check." Victor blinked. He looked down. He looked again. "What?" The boy didn't say anything else. A heavy silence fell over the room. Victor leaned back in his chair, staring at the board like it had betrayed him. Then he looked up, not at the boy, but at someone behind him. Someone no one else had noticed. The maid. Her apron was wrinkled. Her hands were clasped tightly in front of her. Her name tag read Gloria. She didn't meet Victor's eyes. The boy spoke again, barely above a whisper. "I studied your games." Victor's heart skipped. "I know what you're going to do before you do it," the boy said. "You're 3 moves away from checkmate." Victor stood up suddenly, his chair screeching against the floor. But it was too late. The room erupted, and from the doorway, someone else was watching, someone who hadn't been invited. Then came the voice. "You think this is a game?" Black heels clicked across the marble floor. The voice belonged to someone cold. Powerful. Victor turned pale. And that's when the screaming started. Asterisk asterisk. 2 months earlier. The only thing Gloria Owens wanted was to get through the week without another humiliation. She'd been cleaning the Langston estate for a little over a year, and every morning started the same way. Coffee, aspirin, silence. Her back ached from long hours, her fingers were raw from bleach, and she'd learned to keep her head down. Speak when spoken to. Smile just enough to look pleasant, never enough to seem proud. She took the bus from West Chicago at 5:45 a.m. and didn't get home until after 8 p.m. On weekends, she worked half-days at a diner near her apartment. Her son, Malik, spent most of his time alone. He never complained. That's what scared her most. She was 38, a single mother. She didn't cry often, but when she did, it was usually in the laundry room at the Langston house. No one ever went down there. That's where she kept the photo. Her late husband, Marcus, had been a security guard, killed during a robbery 3 years ago. Malik had been 7. She still remembered how he sat quietly at the funeral, not asking a single question, just watching. At first, she thought it was shock. Later, she realized it was something else. Malik noticed everything. He didn't have many friends. Teachers said he was bright but distant. He read encyclopedias for fun. He taught himself to play piano on a borrowed keyboard. He once asked Gloria if he could take apart the microwave to understand how it worked. She'd said no. What she didn't know was that he'd already taken apart the toaster. It was Mr. Langston's wife, Ellen, who made the offer. It was offhanded, almost careless. "He can come on Sunday," she said, flipping through a magazine. "We're having a garden party. Let him play with the kids." Gloria hesitated. "Malik doesn't really." "Oh, please," Ellen said. "It's just chess or something. Let him run around. He won't be the only one. Our niece is coming too. They can keep each other busy." Gloria smiled politely. "That's kind of you." Inside, she was panicking. That Friday night, she sat Malik down and explained. "You don't have to go if you don't want to." He looked up from his book. "Will you be there?" "I'll be working, but yes." He nodded. "I'll go." She wanted to ask why, but she didn't. Sunday came fast. Gloria wore her best shoes, the ones that didn't quite fit right anymore. Malik wore a button-up shirt with a little stain near the hem, but no one would see it under his jacket. He carried a beat-up backpack, zipped tight. The party was exactly what Gloria feared. White linen tables, string lights, rich kids with designer shoes and pocket drones. Music that didn't match the setting. She brought Malik around the back, where the kids were playing near the hedge maze. He didn't say much, just nodded and took it all in. Don't wander far, she said, squeezing his shoulder. He nodded again. What Gloria didn't see, what no one saw, was Malik slipping away 10 minutes later, backpack in hand. He had a plan. Asterisk asterisk. Victor Langston was already drunk by 3 o'clock. Not sloppy, just comfortable. He wore a navy suit, no tie, top buttons open. His friends laughed too loudly. He slapped backs like he owned the world. He did, in a way. The Langston family had old money. Shipping, oil, private equity. Victor had expanded the empire with his hedge fund, Langston Bell. What he didn't gain through charm, he took by force. Everyone said he was brilliant. He believed them. Chess was his party trick. His board sat on a custom-carved marble pedestal in the study. Guests knew not to challenge him unless invited. That day, Victor noticed a quiet kid standing by the doorway. "Who's that?" he asked Ellen, nodding toward Malik. "Oh, that's the maid's son. Gloria's boy." Victor chuckled. "Cute. He plays chess." "I don't know." Victor grinned. "Let's find out." It wasn't really a question. He snapped his fingers. "Hey, you, kid, come here." Malik looked up. Victor waved him over like you'd wave over a dog. Guest turned to watch. "You play." Malik nodded once. Victor's grin widened. "All right then. Let's go." The room buzzed. Phones came out. Wine glasses clinked. Victor gestured to the board. "White or black?" Malik sat down. "I'll take black." That got a laugh. A few guests whistled. Victor started fast. Queen's Gambit. Malik didn't blink. He moved like he'd seen the moves before, like he already knew where they'd end. 5 moves in, the room got quieter. 7 moves in, someone whispered, "Wait." 12 moves in, Victor leaned forward, frowning. Malik looked calm. Too calm. And then, check. The air tightened. Victor's face changed. He sat still, hand over his chin. He was calculating. Then Malik said it. "You're 3 moves from checkmate." That's when Victor stood up. That's when everything fell apart. And just as the silence reached its peak, there was a click at the doorway. High heels. Black. Shining. Sharp. A woman stepped in. She didn't smile. She looked straight at Victor and said, "You think this is a game?" Victor's mouth opened. Closed. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Someone gasped. Malik didn't turn around. He didn't need to. He already knew who she was, and what she'd come to do. The silence shattered when a wine glass slipped from someone's hand and hit the marble floor. It didn't break, just spun on its side, shrill and hollow. Victor didn't move. The woman in black stepped fully into the room now. Her eyes locked on him, sharp as broken glass. Her hair was pinned in a perfect twist. Her expression held no warmth, only power. She walked past the guests without acknowledging them, as if they weren't there. Malik finally looked up, just once, then back to the board. The woman stopped at the edge of the chess table. "Victor Langston," she said slowly, her voice low and clean. "Always so sure of yourself." Victor opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Malik looked at her again. "Who are you?" Someone whispered from the crowd. But Gloria knew. She was standing in the hallway, still holding a tray of hors d'oeuvres, her hands trembling slightly. She couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, because the woman in black was Veronica Sterling, a name spoken like myth in circles that only existed behind gated drives and guarded meetings. Veronica Sterling didn't just make billionaires. She buried them too. And now she was here, at Victor Langston's party, with no warning, no invitation. And she was looking straight at Malik. Asterisk asterisk. 2 weeks earlier, Malik had started studying chess 2 years ago. It began as a quiet curiosity, a half-damaged board someone left behind in the break room of Gloria's second job. He asked what the horse did. She didn't know, so he found a book at the library. Then another. Then all of them. He watched online matches on a borrowed phone. He scribbled openings on loose paper, played games against himself in his head. By the time he was 10, he had memoized entire championship plays, annotated by grandmasters. Gloria didn't know most of this. She just thought he liked puzzles. He did, but chess wasn't a game to him. It was survival. In chess, every move mattered. In real life, sometimes the bad guys won because they had more money, more power, more time. But not on a chessboard. On a chessboard, truth was all that mattered. And he could see the truth faster than anyone else. Asterisk asterisk. One afternoon, after cleaning the Langston's den, Gloria noticed Malik staring at a painting on the wall. A large portrait of Victor, painted in moody tones, stood over the fireplace. "Why do rich people hang pictures of themselves?" he asked. Gloria gave a tired smile. "Because they want to remember who they think they are." Malik said nothing, just stared. Later that night, Gloria caught him playing on a makeshift board he'd drawn with a Sharpie on a cereal box. His fingers moved quickly, his eyes fixed. "Does it help?" she asked softly. He looked up. "Help what?" "All this thinking." Malik hesitated. "It makes the world feel smaller. Like I can control it." Gloria sat beside him. "You don't have to control it, baby. Just survive it." He looked away. "That's what I mean." Asterisk asterisk. Victor hadn't meant for the game to turn serious. It started as a party stunt. Watch me destroy the maid's kid. He thought it to be funny, maybe a little cute. But when the boy started trapping him, blocking his center, threatening his queen by the fifth move, Victor felt something tight in his chest. No one had ever made him feel like that. Not over a game. Now, facing him in front of all his guests, was a boy who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, and yet was playing like he owned the room. When the boy said, "You're 3 moves away from checkmate," Victor felt the old panic return. The one he hadn't felt since the markets crashed in 2008 and he lost 10 million in an hour. But this was worse. This was public. Then the woman arrived. Veronica Sterling. The name struck through the crowd like a ripple in a still pond. "Ms. Sterling," Victor said at last, his voice thin. She glanced at him like she was looking through glass. "I didn't expect to see you," he added quickly. "No," she said. "You didn't." She turned back to Malik. "You saw it, didn't you?" she asked him quietly. "The entire board. Before the first move." Malik nodded. Veronica looked at the guests, at Victor, then back to the board. She picked up one of the captured pieces, a white bishop, and turned it between her fingers. Then she looked at Gloria, who was still frozen in the hallway. "Is this your son?" Gloria didn't answer. Couldn't. "Yes," Malik said for her. Veronica nodded once, almost to herself. Then she looked at Victor. "This," she said, "is the biggest mistake of your life." Victor swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" But before she could answer, the doors behind them burst open. Security rushed in. Not Victor's men. Hers. Veronica's team moved quickly. Guests stepped back, stunned. One man dropped his drink. Another took a step toward the exit, stopped when a sharp-eyed woman blocked his way. "You invited me to a joke," Veronica said softly to Victor. "But you didn't realize the punchline is yours." Victor stood up straighter, bracing. "I don't know what this is," he said, "but I won't be threatened." "You should feel lucky," she replied. "He just gave you a lesson you couldn't buy, and you tried to humiliate him." She turned back to Malik. "How would you like to play somewhere you belong?" Malik looked at Gloria. She was shaking her head slightly. "Afraid. I'm not trying to take him," Veronica added. "Only help him play the game he already mastered." Victor stepped forward. "He's a child. And so are you," she said, "before you turned cruelty into currency." The room was dead quiet. Veronica leaned closer to Malik. "You don't need to answer now," she said. "But you should know, there are people who will try to use you, break you, dismiss you." She tilted her head toward Victor. "Don't let men like this decide what you're worth." She stood up straight. Then she turned to Gloria. "You raised him well." And just like that, she walked out of the room. Her team followed, silent and smooth. The door clicked shut behind them. And Victor Langston, one of the most powerful men in Chicago, sat down slowly and did not speak. Malik looked at the board one last time. Then he packed up his backpack and walked toward his mother. She still hadn't moved. "Let's go home," he said. She nodded. But just as they reached the door, Victor spoke. "I'm not done with you." Malik turned back. "I know," he said quietly. "That's why I'm not afraid." Asterisk asterisk. They didn't speak much on the ride home. The bus was half empty. Gloria kept staring at her hands. Who was she? Malik asked. Gloria took a long breath. Someone who sees things. Malik waited. People like her, she said. They don't come around unless something big is about to happen. He watched her for a moment. Do we have to be scared? He asked. Gloria looked out the window. I think the people who should be scared, she said, aren't us. And as the city lights flickered past the window and the engine hummed beneath their feet, neither of them noticed the black SUV that followed their bus for the next 20 blocks. The black SUV followed without headlights. It coasted along behind the bus like a shadow, 3 car lengths back, never getting too close. The tinted windows didn't show who was inside, but Malik had a feeling they already knew too much about him. He didn't say anything. Not yet. He and his mother got off at their usual stop on 47th, near the corner where the streetlight always blinked out every few minutes. The neighborhood wasn't the worst, but it wore its scars, busted mailboxes, the same siren loop every night, men who stared too long from the bodega window. Gloria's apartment was on the 3rd floor of a building that smelled like boiled potatoes and cheap soap. They walked up in silence. Gloria's key stuck again. She jiggled it once, twice, before it clicked. The door creaked open. Malik went in first. He dropped his backpack next to the couch and walked straight to the window. The SUV didn't stop. It kept rolling past and turned left down an alley. But that didn't mean they were alone. Gloria took off her shoes and rubbed her ankles. She didn't ask Malik anything. Not about the game. Not about the woman. Not about the man who had nearly lost his mind in front of all his friends. Instead, she went to the kitchen and put on the kettle. You hungry? Malik shrugged. Not really. Gloria leaned on the counter. You embarrassed him. I know. You were supposed to just play. I did. Gloria exhaled, slow and deep. It's going to come back on us. I know, Malik said again. Gloria turned the kettle off before it whistled. She poured 2 mugs of hot water and dropped a tea bag into each. She walked one over to the couch. Malik didn't touch it. He said, "It's not done with you," she said after a long pause. I know. What does that mean to you? Malik finally looked up. That is going to try and make me small again. Gloria watched her son, this strange little boy who spoke like someone much older. He looked tired, but not from the game. It was something deeper, like a weight had settled on him that wouldn't leave. She sat beside him. I've tried to keep you out of all this, she said. I know, Malik said softly, but I can't anymore. Can I? He shook his head. No. She brushed his hair from his forehead, her fingers light. I'm sorry, she said. For what? For the world. Malik leaned into her shoulder, just for a second. And outside, parked half a block down with its engine still running, the black SUV waited. ***. The next morning, someone knocked on the apartment door at 6:12 a.m. 3 knocks. Firm. Measured. Gloria was still in her robe. Malik had just finished tying his shoes. She looked through the peephole. 2 men in suits, one with a badge already out. She opened the door just a crack. Ms. Owens, the taller man said. Yes. I'm Special Agent Leary. This is Agent NGO. We're with the Bureau. Gloria's mouth went dry. We'd like to speak to you and your son. What about? She asked, heart already racing. It's about what happened at the Langston residence yesterday. She stiffened. He was invited. We understand, Leary said calmly. This isn't about criminal activity. Not directly. That not directly hit her like a knife. Malik appeared behind her. I'll talk to them, he said. Gloria spun. No, you won't. Mom. His voice was calm. They already know who I am. Might as well hear what they want. Gloria looked at him. Really looked. Her little boy, 10 years old, barely past his knees in the world. And yet, right then, he looked steadier than anyone she'd ever met. She opened the door wider. They sat at the kitchen table. The agents didn't take off their coats. They didn't smile much either. We're not here to arrest anyone, Agent NGO clarified. We just need to understand what exactly happened during that chess match. He beat the man, Gloria said flatly. That's all. Leary looked at Malik. How long have you been playing? 2 years. No coaching, no formal training. Malik shook his head. Do you know who Veronica Sterling is? NGO asked him. Malik didn't answer. Did you know she would be there? Leary added. No. Leary exchanged a quick glance with NGO. What if I told you she's connected to intelligence contractors, private think tanks, predictive modeling research groups, people who track patterns and behavior at the highest levels of national security? Gloria stood. What exactly are you saying? Leary held up a hand. We're saying your son might have just drawn the attention of people who study minds like his. And not all of them are as polite as we are. Malik looked down at the table. Are you trying to scare me? He asked. No, Leary said. We're trying to warn you. He slid a card across the table. If anyone else approaches you, including Miss Sterling, you call us first. Then both men stood and left without another word. The door clicked shut behind them. Gloria picked up the card. It had a phone number, no address. Malik walked back to the window and pulled the curtain aside. The SUV was still there. Asterisk asterisk. 3 nights later, someone slipped an envelope under their door. No return address. Thick paper, heavier than a normal letter. Inside were 2 things. A formal invitation to the Midwest Junior Invitational, a private chess tournament hosted by the Sterling Foundation. Location, undisclosed until confirmation. All expenses paid. A note, handwritten in fine ink. The next board won't be made of wood. It'll be made of people. Be ready. V.S. Gloria stayed at the note for a long time. She turned to Malik. We can't go. We have to, he said quietly. No, we don't. If we don't go, he said, they'll come here. She sat down, shaking. Malik picked up the invitation. She said the next board would be made of people, he murmured. Gloria pressed her hands to her temples. What does that mean? I don't know yet, Malik said. Then he looked at her. But I think it means I won't just be playing anymore. Gloria didn't say anything. The heater kicked on. Pipes groaned somewhere in the walls. Finally, she whispered, if you go into that world, Malik, I can't protect you from it. He looked back at her, eyes wide but unafraid. Then teach me how to protect myself. Asterisk asterisk. 3 hours later, while Gloria was asleep, Malik packed his backpack. Not with clothes, with books, chess theory, strategy, probability. He even printed out articles from the library about military simulations and political gamesmanship. He didn't know where this was going yet. But he knew one thing. Victor Langston wasn't the real enemy. He was just the first piece. The next one, Malik wasn't sure. But he had a feeling he'd be seeing Veronica Sterling again soon. And when he did, he needed to be ready for anything, even if the board was people, and the pieces didn't know they were being moved. Outside, the SUV was still waiting. But now, it wasn't alone. A second vehicle pulled up behind it. Sleek, dark red, California plates. Inside, a woman with silver earrings and quiet eyes watched the building without blinking. She didn't work for Langston, and she didn't work for Sterling. She worked for someone else. Someone who had just whispered 2 words into her earpiece. Find him. Rain hit the windows like fingers tapping out a warning. Gloria stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, watching the water streak down the glass. It was still early, just past 5 in the morning, but she hadn't slept all night. Malik was in bed, or at least pretending to be. She hadn't told him yet about the voicemail she got around midnight. No number, no ID, just a voice. Male, slow, smiling. He embarrassed the wrong man. You know how these things go. Teach him to lose, or we'll do it for you. She replayed it 3 times. Didn't save it. Didn't call back. She was used to being threatened. Landlords, bosses, customers, petty authority figures. People had tried to intimidate her before. But this was different. This wasn't about her. This was aimed directly at her son. She pulled the curtain back just enough to peek down at the street. Same SUV. Still running. No movement. They'd been watching for days now, not bothering to hide. A second car had started showing up too, the red one with California plates. It never parked close, just circled the block like it was checking boundaries. Gloria didn't know which was wise. She made a decision. They had to leave. Not forever, just long enough to get breathing room. Somewhere without eyes on every corner and hidden threats in envelopes. She walked back to the bedroom, quietly pushed the door open. Malik was sitting up in bed. I heard it too, he said. Gloria blinked. What? The voicemail. I was awake. Gloria sat beside him. You understand what it means? He nodded. They are scared of what I can do. They are not scared, Gloria said. They are angry. People like that. When they get shown up by someone they think is beneath them, they don't forget it. And they don't forgive. They want me to lose, Malik said. Or disappear. He looked down at his hands. So we run. No, Gloria said, surprising herself. We move. Malik glanced at her. Pack a small bag, she said. We're leaving for a few days. Don't tell anyone. Where are we going? Someplace they're not watching yet. Asterisk asterisk. That afternoon, they boarded a Greyhound bus under a different name. Gloria had borrowed a friend's ID from work and used cash to buy the tickets. They headed south, not far, just out of the city, toward Kankakee. Small town, nothing special. But she had a cousin there. A nice, quiet life. Nobody followed them. For the first few hours. But just past Joliet, Malik nudged her awake. They are here. She rubbed her eyes. What? The red car. I saw it near the rest stop. Gloria's throat went dry. You sure? Malik nodded. Same dent on the front bumper. She cursed it under her breath. They didn't get off in Kankakee. Instead, they stayed on the bus, rode it until it looped back toward Chicago. Then they jumped off early, near a long-forgotten industrial zone, miles from any planned stop. It was pouring again. They ran through alleys and empty lots until Gloria's legs ached. They ducked into a laundromat that had long since closed. The windows were taped with yellowed newspapers, the machines all dead. But it had a roof. They stayed there until nightfall. Asterisk asterisk. You think this is still about chess? Malik asked quietly. Gloria looked at him. I think it started with chess, she said. But it's about power now. He hugged his knees. I just wanted to play. I know. Why are they scared of me? She thought for a moment, then answered in a whisper. Because you saw something they didn't. He nodded slowly. Victor Langston made a bad move at the start. I saw it before he did. And that's what makes you dangerous, she said. They sat in silence for a while. Outside, a train passed somewhere in the dark. Then Malik said, They're not done. I know. Gloria looked at him. And neither are we. Asterisk asterisk. Meanwhile, 3 stories below Victor Langston's penthouse, a private meeting was already in motion. 2 men and 1 woman sat in a soundproof room behind the facade of a wellness spa. The lights were low. Their faces were sharp, calculated. Victor stood at the end of the table, drink in hand, a bandage on his palm from where he'd slammed his fist into the edge of the chess table the night of the party. He made me look like a fool, he said through clenched teeth. Because you acted like one, the woman replied. Victor glared at her. I brought you here to solve a problem, not lecture me. We're not interested in your ego, she said coolly. We're interested in him. The shorter man opened a laptop. On the screen, footage from inside the Langston estate. The chess match. The checkmate prediction. The crowd. Sterling's arrival. Who is he? The man asked. Where'd he come from? Son of a housekeeper. No record. No school comps. No tournaments. The woman smiled faintly. Then how'd he see 12 moves ahead? Victor downed the rest of his drink. I want him gone. The third man, who hadn't spoken yet, finally leaned forward. There's another option, he said. Victor raised an eyebrow. We bring him in. Victor laughed. He's a kid. He's not just a kid, the man said. He's an asset. Victor looked away, annoyed. The woman stayed at the screen again. Find him before Sterling does, she said. And if you can't bring him in. She closed the laptop gently. Then break the board. Asterisk asterisk. 2 days later, a letter arrived at Gloria's cousin's apartment. No stamp. No envelope. Just folded paper slipped under the door. Malik opened it. Inside was a photo. It showed him sitting on the bus, smiling, next to his mother. Below the photo were 5 words. You're already playing the game. Malik stayed at the photo for a long time. Then he turned it over. On the back, someone had drawn a chessboard. It was half full, and on the corner, a single word written in blood-red ink. Check. Gloria pressed the photo flat against the kitchen counter, staring at it like it might change if she looked long enough. But it didn't. Malik's face stayed frozen in that half-smile, caught mid-breath on the bus. Her own eyes in the photo looked tired, unaware. The message beneath still read, "You're already playing the game." Malik stood behind her, quiet. "How do they get this?" she asked, voice low and sharp. Malik didn't answer. The back of the photo, the chessboard, wasn't random. He could tell. The pieces were arranged mid-match, and the positioning was off. It wasn't symmetrical, not balanced. It wasn't just a threat. It was a clue. "I think they are watching both sides," he said. Gloria turned to him. "What?" He pointed to the paper. "They know where we are, and they're showing us that Sterling isn't the only one watching. This board, this is from a real game. You recognize it?" "No, but it's wrong on purpose. Look," he pointed to the white king, sitting exposed with no pawns nearby. "It's a trap. This isn't a game someone's playing to win. It's a setup, a sacrifice." He didn't say what he was thinking, that the king might be him. Gloria leaned against the counter, holding the edge with both hands. "Do you still want to go to that tournament?" she asked. He nodded. "It's not just a game anymore." "I know it's not," she said. "But if you walk into that room, you're not coming back the same." Malik looked at her. "Neither are they." Asterisk asterisk. They left that night. Not with Faye. With precision. Malik charted 3 routes on paper using a map they bought from a gas station. No phones. No GPS. They changed buses twice, walked 2 miles across a train yard to throw off any tail, and checked into a motel under fake names. Malik wore a hoodie too big for him. Gloria wore sunglasses at night, though they did little to hide her exhaustion. Still, they kept moving. On the 3rd day, an envelope was waiting for them at the front desk of the motel. Inside, 2 plane tickets, a folder labeled Participant 49, and a note. "Arrival confirmed. We await your opening move. V.S." Malik's name was printed cleanly on the boarding pass. No last name. The flight left in 8 hours. Gloria stayed at the folder. "There's no way they don't know where we are." "They know," Malik said. "They just don't need to chase us anymore. Because we're walking into their trap. Because they think we'll play their game by their rules." Gloria looked at him. "And will we?" Malik didn't answer. Asterisk asterisk. The plane touched down just before sunrise. The windows revealed nothing but fog, dense and low, swallowing the view. An assistant waited at the bottom of the stairs, not in a terminal, but on the tarmac, standing next to a sleek black shuttle with tinted windows and no license plates. The man didn't introduce himself, just nodded. "This way, Malik." Gloria stepped between them. "He doesn't go anywhere alone." The man didn't argue, just held the door open. The drive was quiet. After an hour, the fog lifted just enough to reveal a private estate, stone walls, high hedges, and a circular drive wide enough to land a helicopter. At the front gate, a sign read, "Sterling Foundation Invitational." Malik stayed at it, then looked at Gloria. "They didn't just invite me to play," he said quietly. "They want to see if I belong here." She squeezed his hand. "You don't." He smiled faintly. "That's why I have to win." Asterisk asterisk. Inside the estate, the players were already gathering. There were 12 of them, all under 17, all handpicked. Most were dressed in sharp suits or private school uniforms. A few had parents or handlers. Malik wore the same hoodie from the motel. He didn't care. None of them spoke to him. Not yet. The rooms were high-ceilinged and cold, with windows that stretched from floor to sky. Cameras were visible in every corner. The air smelled like lemon and money. Veronica Sterling arrived an hour later. She didn't address the players. Not all of them. Only Malik. "Walk with me." Gloria stood up, her eyes flashing. Malik looked at her. "It's okay." It wasn't, but he followed anyway. They stepped into the garden, flanked by white stone statues shaped like bishops and knights. It wasn't subtle. "I want you to understand," Veronica said. "This isn't a test of skill. That part's already proven." "Then what is it?" "A test of pressure. Of what you do when people push back. When they don't care how smart you are." "I already know what that's like," he said. "I don't think you do. Yet." She stopped walking. Victor Langston isn't your problem anymore. Malik tensed. Here's a symptom, Veronica said. But the ones watching you now, they don't lose. They don't accept checkmate. They just flip the board. So what do you want from me? I want you to survive. She looked him dead in the eye. And to do that, you have to learn not just how to win, but who to lose to. He stayed back, expression hard. I don't lose. Her mouth curled into something almost like admiration. That's why I chose you. She turned and walked away, and Malik understood. He wasn't here to play chess. He was here to decide whose game he would break first. Asterisk asterisk. That night, the first match began. 6 games, played simultaneously in the Great Hall. Each table lined with thick, dark wood. Real boards, real clocks, and one twist. Each game was broadcast live, not to the public, but to unknown observers in black rooms around the world. Malik could feel them watching, like mirrors he couldn't see. His opponent was older. 15, blonde, confident, British accent. Said his name was Nathaniel. You're the one who humiliated Langston, the boy asked, shaking his hand. Malik nodded. Let's see if you deserve to be here. Malik smiled once. Let's. The match lasted 17 minutes. Malik didn't just beat him. He dismantled him. Every trap Nathaniel laid, Malik flipped back onto him. The crowd was silent. When he delivered checkmate, Malik stood up without looking back. Nathaniel sat frozen, staring at the board. Gloria met Malik at the edge of the room. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. He wasn't playing chess anymore. He was playing them. And somewhere, behind a hidden screen, someone else was smiling. Not Veronica. Not Victor. Someone watching the board from much, much higher. And beside him, a red circle blinked next to Malik's name. Target confirmed. The next morning, Malik woke to find a note under his door. Not handwritten this time. Typed. Clean. Printed on letterhead that bore no seal, no name, just a single black square in the corner. Congratulations. You've been advanced to the inner board. Report to room 12 at 10 a.m. No guests. No clocks. No questions. Gloria was already awake, sitting in a corner chair by the window with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She'd seen the note first. What's the inner board? She asked quietly. Malik shook his head. They didn't say. Then you don't go. I think I have to. Gloria stood up. No, Malik. Not this time. We don't know who's behind that note. Could be Langston. Could be someone worse. Malik folded the paper once, then again. I have to find out. You're not a pawn. I'm not, he said. But they still think I am. That's why I have to see what they are hiding. She didn't like it. Every instinct in her screamed to tear the place down and take her son home. But what was home now? A leaking apartment. Constant surveillance. Men in cars watching every step. This secret room, this hidden agenda, might be the only way forward. Malik grabbed his hoodie. I'll be careful. Gloria pulled him into a hug, held him longer than usual. Whatever happens, she said into his shoulder, don't let them decide who you are. He nodded. Then he was gone. Asterisk asterisk. Room 12 wasn't like the others. There was no door. At exactly 10 a.m., a wall in the east corridor of the Sterling estate slid open without sound. No guards. No lights. Just a dark hall that smelled like old air and cold stone. Malik stepped inside. The hallway stretched for what felt like a mile before turning left, then right, then down a metal staircase. At the bottom, another corridor, this one narrower, pulsing faintly with blue light. At the end, a room. Glass walls. No furniture. One chair. In the middle sat a chessboard. Already set up. A camera in the corner clicked on. Malik walked in, wary. Then the other door opened. And in walked someone Malik hadn't seen since his father's funeral. Detective Samuel Ayers. The cop who promised they'd find the man who killed Marcus Owens. The one who never came back. Who stopped answering calls after the 3rd month. Who said all the right things at the time, but whose eyes always gave away the lie. He hadn't aged much, but he looked heavier now, tired in the gut and the soul. His badge was gone. His hands shook just slightly. He sat across from Malik without a word. Then a voice filled the room. Filtered, genderless, artificial. This match is not for checkmate. It's for memory. Each piece represents a question. Each capture earns an answer. Play begins now. Malik stayed at the speaker. What kind of game is this? The voice didn't respond. Ayas moved his pawn, and the match began. Asterisk asterisk. Every time Malik captured one of Ayas' pieces, the room changed. The lights dimmed. A screen behind them flickered to life, showing footage from the past, surveillance, interviews, reports never released. And Malik saw it. His father's name. Marcus Owens. The robbery. The building camera that malfunctioned. The file marked closed with no suspect named. Why are you showing me this? Malik asked. Ayas finally spoke. His voice was rough. Because I didn't tell the truth. Malik stared. I knew who did it, Ayas said. We all did. But he was protected. A donor. A client. Someone with ties to Langston's fam. Malik's chest burned. You let him walk. I had a daughter in the hospital, Ayas said. The man they told me to protect. He paid her bills. In full. Anonymously. But I knew. Malik made another move. Captured a night. Another screen lit up. It was a photo. Crisp. Clear. A man with salt and pepper hair and a Rolex. Standing with Victor Langston. Smiling. Malik whispered the name aloud. Raymond Castle. He'd seen it once. On a memo Gloria threw out after a party. Castle Capital. Is he the one who? Ayas didn't answer. Malik moved again, and the room responded with a video. A body cam. Muted. The moment Ayas walked out of the alley where Marcus Owens was shot. A single line of text appeared. Evidence withheld. Chain of custody disrupted. Malik pushed the board forward, knocking the pieces aside. No more, he said. The door opened again. Veronica Sterling stepped inside, alone. She didn't look pleased or surprised. You asked for truth, she said. Now you have it. Why him? Why this? Because power is built on memory, she said. And those who control the story decide what comes next. Malik stood up. You used my father. No, she said. Langston did. Castle did. All I did was give you the key. To what? She walked to the table, picked up the Black King. To your own rage. Asterisk asterisk. That night, Malik didn't sleep. He sat by the window of his room, staring at the chessboard he brought in his bag. He didn't touch the pieces. He just looked. Gloria sat across the room, awake too. I saw him, Malik said softly. The man who killed Dad. Gloria didn't move. I saw the cop who let it happen. Still, no response. I wanted to hurt them both. She looked at him now. Did you? No, he whispered. Not yet. She came over and knelt beside him. You're not a weapon, she said. You're not their tool. I'm not yours either. She nodded. I know. He turned back to the window. They want me to fight on a board they built, he said. But what if I build my own? Gloria kissed his temple. Then I'll be right there with you. Asterisk asterisk. At that exact moment, far across the estate, Raymond Castle watched a live feed from room 12. He turned to Victor Langston, seated beside him. Is learning too fast. Victor's face was blank. He's not going to follow orders, Castle added. Victor nodded once. Then we push harder. We've already threatened his mother. He didn't blink. Victor picked up a bishop from the board in front of him. Then, slowly, he crushed it in his hand. He will, he said. They all do eventually. Asterisk asterisk. The next morning, Malik received another note. It was written in a child's scrawl. Crude, blocky letters. No punctuation. You don't know the real game. They will take her if you win. You only get to keep one. And beneath it, a single, small pawn. Painted red. Malik stayed at the note. He read it 3 times before saying a word. The handwriting wasn't real. Not a child's. It had the look of innocence, but it was staged, calculated. Someone wanted him to believe the message came from a peer, maybe even another player. But the meaning was clear. They will take her if you win. You only get to keep one. One what? One life. One choice. His hands trembled, but he didn't let Gloria see. She was in the bathroom, brushing her hair in the tiny mirror, humming softly like she used to when he was younger and couldn't sleep. He hated how normal she still tried to make things feel. He folded the note, slipped it into the side pocket of his hoodie, and tucked the red pawn under his mattress. Asterisk asterisk. At breakfast, the other competitors were quiet. Even the smug ones, the ones who'd mocked Malik when he arrived, looked different now. Edgy, distracted, as if something had changed, and everyone felt it. Nathaniel, the British kid Malik had defeated in round 1, sat alone, pushing a hard-boiled egg across his plate with a fork. When Malik passed, Nathaniel looked up, then looked away. He wasn't angry anymore. He was scared. "Hey," Malik said, pausing. Nathaniel glanced up again. Malik leaned in. "Did you get a note?" Nathaniel hesitated, then nodded once. "They said if I win again," he whispered, "they'll show my parents what they've been hiding. That they know where I sleep. What I dream about." Malik narrowed his eyes. "What are they trying to prove?" "That we'll break," Nathaniel said. "That we'll fold under pressure." He stood, picked up his tray, and walked away. Malik sat down in his place, not hungry. His mind spun. Someone, or some group, was playing more than a tournament. This was a crucible, a lab, a stage, and the competitors weren't just test subjects. They were weapons in training. Asterisk asterisk. That afternoon, Malik was called to the drawing room. Only 3 players were summoned. The others were told to stay in their quarters and await further instructions. Inside the drawing room sat 3 chairs, 1 for each of them. Malik, a girl named Anaïs from France, and a boy named Jonah, silent, eyes hollow like something had already been taken from him. Across the room, 5 adults in suits. No name tags, no smiles. Veronica Sterling was not among them. Instead, a man with graying hair and an expression like steel addressed them. "You've been selected for the catalyst sequence," he said. "That means you're showing signs of advanced pattern recognition, psychological stability under stress, and strategic aggression." Malik frowned. "Is that what this is? A test?" The man nodded. "A game. A selection. And now, a risk." He pressed a button. The screen behind them lit up. Images flickered across, cities, blueprints, surveillance maps, headlines in Cyrillic, Chinese, French. "You're not just chess players," the man continued. "You're future analysts, advisors, decision-makers, the kinds of minds who can predict what armies, economies, and entire populations will do before they do it." Jonah stirred. "We're kids. You're leverage." Malik stood up. "Against who?" The man smiled faintly. "Against everyone." Asterisk asterisk. Back in his room, Malik finally told Gloria everything. About the note, the red pawn, the message, "You only get to keep one." She didn't cry. She just listened. When he finished, she sat down beside him on the bed and held his hand. "They're telling you that if you keep playing, I'll be the one who pays." "I won't let them take you," Malik said. "You may not get to choose. I'll make a choice." She shook her head. "They're not playing chess, Malik. They are playing with lives." He looked at her, something rising in him now. Not fear, clarity. "What if I don't play their game?" he asked. "You already are." "No," he said, standing. "I've been moving on their board. I think it's time I build my own." Asterisk asterisk. That night, Malik snuck out. He'd studied the estate over the past few days. The cameras, the rhythms of the guards, the blind spots near the West Wing. He carried nothing but a notepad, a pencil, and a red pawn in his pocket. He found the archives room. Locked, but not complicated. A simple key scanner. He waited until the guard passed, then slipped in behind a utility cart. The door clicked shut. Inside, rows and rows of files. Player dossiers, surveillance tapes, psychological reports. He found his name in the second cabinet. Inside the file, pages of transcripts. Footage from school hallways he'd never noticed cameras in. A breakdown of his mother's income, debt, even medical history. There was a copy of his father's autopsy report. Photographs, too. He shoved the file into his hoodie. Then he looked down the aisle. One more cabinet. Sterling, Veronica. He opened it. What he saw made him go still. Her real name. Her past affiliations. The list of other child prodigies she had recruited over the last decade. Most had disappeared. A few had died. One, filed under Alpha Case. Project Envy was listed as EXVLT, unknown location. Malik closed the drawer slowly. They weren't the first, but maybe they could be the last. Asterisk asterisk. As he made his way back toward his room, a voice stopped him in the dark. You're not supposed to be here. He turned slowly. It was Honoris. She stood at the end of the hallway, barefoot, holding something behind her back. Malik stepped into the light. Neither are you. She smiled. They made me a deal. One final match. If I win, I go free. And if you lose, they take my brother. He stepped forward. What if there's another way? She shook her head. They don't offer other ways. Then she revealed what she was holding. A blade. Not a kitchen knife. A surgical one. I'm not playing anymore, she whispered. But I'm also not walking away. And before Malik could stop her, she turned the blade toward herself. Malik lunged. The scream echoed through the corridor. Asterisk asterisk. Guards came seconds later. Malik was tackled, dragged away. Honoris lay on the ground, breathing but bleeding. He shouted her name. One of the guards turned and struck him in the stomach, hard enough to silence everything. Then black. Asterisk asterisk. When he woke, he was in a new room. Smaller. Colder. His wrists were bound. The walls were padded. And someone was watching him through the glass. Victor Langston. You've got talent, kid, he said, sipping tea. But you forgot one rule. Malik glared at him. Victor smiled. The game doesn't care how smart you are. It only cares how far you're willing to go. He leaned forward. So now I'm going to ask you just once. His voice dropped. Will you play the final match? Malik said nothing. Victor set a single object on the floor between them. It was the red pawn. But now, it had been broken in half. And inside was a microchip. Malik stared at the broken red pawn. The microchip inside was small, almost invisible, but it glinted under the fluorescent light like a blade. Victor crouched down beside it, still sipping his tea, looking far too comfortable for a man holding a child hostage. The scent of mint and honey floated through the padded room. This little chip, Victor said, tapping it with one finger, was embedded in your pawn before it ever reached you. It's a transmitter, a signal beacon. It's how he knew where you were, where you've been. He sipped again, calmly. We didn't just follow you, Malik. We herded you, fed you breadcrumbs, gave you just enough truth to keep you curious, just enough fear to keep you obedient. Malik didn't speak. He didn't flinch. Victor stood and walked slowly around the room. You really think Sterling was your savior? She wanted to train you, not free you. And Castle? He'd rather have you neutralized than educated. He stopped directly in front of Malik. But me. Victor smiled. I want to unleash you. Malik looked up. Victor leaned down. You don't have to be a pawn. You could be the queen. A pause. Join me. Malik's mouth was dry. His wrist was still bound, but his mind wasn't. What happens if I say no? Victor grinned wider. Then we find out how much pain your mother can take. That word, mother, it hit harder than any threat ever could. But Malik didn't react. He had learned, from chess, from life, from pain, that stillness could be armor. Victor took the silence as weakness. He stood tall, smug. You'll play in the final match. We already have your opponent ready. One of the first we ever trained. One of the best. He opened the door to leave. It's scheduled for tomorrow night. Winner decides what happens next. But I'll make it easy. If you win, she lives. If you lose, he shrugged. You get peace. The door slammed shut behind him, and Malik was alone. Asterisk asterisk. 3 floors above, Gloria pounded her fists on the reinforced glass of a holding room. 2 guards stood outside, pretending not to hear her. Her voice cracked as she screamed Malik's name. She had been grabbed in the night. No warning. No chance to fight. The last thing she remembered was seeing Anais carried out on a stretcher, then a needle in her arm. Then blackness. Now she was locked inside a soundproof room with no clock, no light, no way to tell time. But she knew. She knew they were doing something to her son. She pressed her hands to the glass, whispered through clenched teeth. If you touch him again, I swear to God, I will burn this whole place down. Asterisk asterisk. Malik didn't sleep. He paced the room until the lights dimmed. He kept replaying everything in his mind. The clues, the games, the voices, the files, the footage of his father's death. He still had the folder he stole from the archives. Somehow, it had stayed with him. He flipped through it again. Toward the end was something he hadn't noticed before, a page sealed inside a plastic sleeve. A handwritten diagram, not of a chessboard, of people, 12 names, 12 players, himself included. At the center, Alpha Unit Envy. And below it, written in fine cursive, the child who sees the board is the only one who can break it. He stated those words. And then it clicked. Victor didn't control the game. He belonged to it, just like everyone else. Asterisk asterisk. The next evening, 2 guards came to collect Malik. They gave him clean clothes, all black, and led him through a back corridor that smelled like old paper and burnt circuits. The final match was being held in the Sterling Foundation's underground arena, a windowless room shaped like a theater in the round. A single platform stood at the center. 1 table, 1 board, 2 chairs. Around them, rows of darkened seats filled with silent observers. Billionaires, power brokers, military advisors, Black Ops contractors, politicians, ghosts. Gloria wasn't there. Victor sat in the front row. Next to him, Raymond Castle. And behind them, seated in shadow, was Veronica Sterling, expression unreadable. Malik walked to the board. His opponent was already waiting. A tall boy, older, maybe 16. Thin, cold eyes. He looked familiar. Malik sat slowly. The opponent smiled. Faint. You're the new star, he said. Malik stuttered him. You're from Project Envy. The boy nodded once. Name's Ezra. I'm what happens when they don't break you. Malik scanned the board. Standard setup. Except, he saw it. The pieces weren't arranged like a normal game. This wasn't a match. It was a test. A message. Ezra spoke again. Every piece we move sends a signal. What kind? Geotags. Pulse patterns. Each move corresponds to a real-world target. Communications, servers, assets. Malik froze. This isn't chess, he whispered. Ezra nodded. It's warfare, and whoever wins this match triggers the next phase. Malik felt the world shift under him. If he won, he'd prove his value, but risk becoming a tool. If he lost, they might kill Gloria. And maybe him. He looked to the crowd. Victor leaned forward, hungry. Castle whispered to an aide. Veronica only watched. Then Malik did the unthinkable. He reached out and tipped his king over. The room gasped. Forfeit. Ezra stared. What are you doing? Malik stood. This isn't my board. He turned toward the crowd. You think you're playing games with pieces you built. But you didn't build me. You just watched. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the microchip from the red pawn. I've been playing you this entire time. He threw the chip into the center of the board. I let you track me. I let you test me. But I also tracked you. Castle stood, panic rising. Malik spoke again, louder. I reversed the signal. He looked straight at Victor, and I sent it to everyone you don't want watching. Veronica's lips parted slightly, the closest thing to emotion she'd shown. Then a new voice echoed through the arena's sound system. Mr. Castle, Mr. Langston, please remain seated. This facility is now under federal jurisdiction. Gasps, screams, doors slammed open. Dozens of armed agents stormed the room, real ones this time. No masks, no bluffs. The elite audience stood in panic. Malik turned and walked straight through the chaos. No one tried to stop him. Asterisk asterisk. Outside, under the night sky for the first time in days, Gloria stood in a black coat, blinking into the headlights of a van. She saw him. Malik. He ran into her arms, and for a moment, nothing else existed. Not Langston, not Castle, not war games or broken pawns. Just a mother and her son. Safe. Together. Alive. Asterisk asterisk. But deep inside the Sterling archives, behind 3 levels of security and a biometric lock, a different game was already being set up. A new board. Blank. Untouched. Except for one word written in red at the center. Rematch. The warehouse where they were taken smelled like steel, sweat, and secrets. Somewhere outside, sirens faded into the distance, but inside the concrete walls it was dead quiet. Gloria kept one arm around Malik, the other wrapped around herself, as if holding both of them together with sheer will. An agent had given them water, blankets, nothing else. Malik sat on a metal bench, legs swinging, eyes unfocused. "You okay?" Gloria asked. He nodded. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About what comes next." She hesitated. "It's over, Malik." "No," he said. "They just lost a game. That's not the same." Asterisk. An hour later, they were escorted into a meeting room with 2 chairs, a long table, and a man in a gray suit waiting with a folder already open. His name tag read, David Cole, Department of Strategic Intelligence. "Malik," he said, standing to shake hands. "We've been hearing about you." Gloria didn't move. "You're not taking him anywhere," she said. Cole held up his hands. "We're not here to recruit him. We're here to understand how a 10-year-old cracked a top-level surveillance network and rerouted a classified signal back to government servers without access to any known backdoor protocols." Malik shrugged. "I watched." "You watched what?" "People. How they act. What they don't say. Systems talk like people if you pay attention." Cole blinked. "And where did you learn that?" "My dad. Before he died." Cole's expression shifted slightly. "Your father was never listed as having a clearance." "He didn't need one," Malik said. "He saw things too." Gloria shifted. "Is this going some way?" "Yes," Cole said. "We believe your son just exposed the single largest privately run behavioral manipulation program in the country." Sterling wasn't just building chess prodigies. She was building predictors, minds capable of forecasting civil unrest, financial crashes, even regional conflicts before they happen. Malik folded his arms. "They weren't teaching us how to think. They were teaching us how to control outcomes." Cole nodded. "And now they are gone." "No," Malik said. "They are regrouping." Cole's smile faded. "What makes you so sure?" Malik leaned forward. "Because they didn't lose everything. I saw it. One more file. Locked. They called it Project Rematch." Cole opened a laptop and typed quickly. "We've been scanning the estate's server backups. There's no file by that name." "They wouldn't keep it online," Malik said. "It's physical. Hidden." Cole looked at Gloria. "Mrs. Owens, with your permission, would like to keep you in a secure location until we understand exactly how deep this network goes. Langston and Castle are just the visible pieces. We think there are more." Gloria didn't hesitate. "Then protect my son. That's all I care about." Cole nodded once. "We will." Asterisk. That night, Malik couldn't sleep. He walked the perimeter of their holding quarters. He asked for paper and drew, not pictures, but boards. Maps. The structure of influence he'd seen behind the matches. Not just the players, but the observers. The ones who never spoke, only watched. Every child in that tournament had been chosen to mirror a real-world operator, a tech mogul, a diplomat, a hedge fund manager, a propagandist. Malik wasn't the queen. He was a mirror, and he'd shattered the glass. But only in one room. There were more, and one of them was still watching. Asterisk. Across the country, in a private research lab built inside a decommissioned missile silo, a door opened with a hiss. A tall man in a white coat stepped into a dim chamber. A boy sat on the floor, older than Malik, maybe 15. His face was bruised. His eyes were vacant. His fingers moved along an invisible board in the air, lips whispering openings to himself. The man knelt beside him. "They've taken out Langston and Castle. The Sterling network's been compromised." The boy didn't blink. "Do you understand what this means?" the man asked. Still nothing. The man reached into a briefcase and pulled out a photograph. "Malik, this is your next match." The boy reached out, gently touched the photo. Then, for the first time in weeks, he spoke. "I've already beaten him." Asterisk. Back in Chicago, Cole handed Malik a tablet. "We found something." On it was a recovered audio recording, time-stamped 1 week before the chess match at Langston's party. 2 voices. One was Victor Langston. The other was unmistakable. Raymond Castle. Victor is a child. Castle is an algorithm with skin. We use him, or someone else will. Victor, what if he figures it out? Castle, then we kill the board. Malik stayed at the screen. Why record that? Gloria asked. Cole looked grim. Sometimes they forget they're not the only ones watching. He paused. That recording, it's admissible. We can charge them. Malik shook his head. They won't go to prison. Men like that disappear, then resurface richer. Cole didn't argue. Malik looked up. What if we make it so they can't resurface at all? Cole raised an eyebrow. You mean expose them? No, Malik said. I mean cut their power at the source. The data, the infrastructure, the players still on the board. Cole hesitated. You know what that takes? Malik's voice was calm. Yes. Cole stuttered him. You sure you're ready for that? Malik didn't blink. I've been ready since the day they killed my dad. Asterisk asterisk. Later that night, Gloria found Malik asleep on the couch, notebook clutched to his chest. She gently slid it free. The last page was a diagram. A new board. But this one had no kings. Only pawns, arranged in a circle. Beneath it, a single sentence. When everyone is a piece, no one sees the player. She looked out the window. The night was quiet. But somewhere, she knew, the next move had already been made. And her son was walking straight into it. At 3:12 a.m., Malik's eyes snapped open. He wasn't dreaming. He had heard it. A soft click, like metal unlocking, just beyond the wall. He sat up in the dim light of the holding suite. Gloria was still asleep in the bed across the room, her breathing slow, peaceful. He moved quietly, grabbed his notebook, and slipped on his shoes. The hallway was empty, but the sound had been real. He followed it, down one corridor, then another. Then, there, a sliver of light from under a door that hadn't been lit before. A security office. The door creaked as he opened it. Sterling, alone in a small white room. Her hair down, her voice calm. If you're seeing this, it means I've broken from them. The others. Castle's people. Langston's remains. They are regrouping under a different flag now. They're calling it the Slate. Wipe the world clean. Rebuild it. Through influence, not force. Through data, not violence. They'll find children like you, or wise. Ones with no conscience, no compass. I taught you to think like a strategist, but I never taught you to say no to the game. Now you must. You have more power than any room of men with suits and secrets, but only if you choose not to play by their rules. She leaned closer to the camera. I'll help you, Malik, but not as your queen. That piece is gone. I'll help as your ghost. The screen went black. Malik sat still. Gloria put her hand on his. What does it mean? She asked. It means we're not done. Asterisk asterisk. The next day, Malik got an email. No subject. No sender. Just a link. He clicked it on a burner device. It opened to a chessboard. Digital. Empty. And then one move appeared. E4. An invitation. No name. No timer. Just one white pawn advanced. Waiting. Malik smiled. They still thought he'd come play. Still thought he'd sit across from them. But they didn't realize something. He was never going to play again. He was going to flip the board. Asterisk asterisk. That night, Malik activated his contingency. A network he'd been building in secret since South Dakota. Not with money. Not with firewalls. With people. Other kids. Quiet prodigies. Young minds like his. Ones who had been watched, recruited, discarded. He reached out to them not with threats or lies, but with honesty. And a question. What if the next game belonged to us? One by one, they replied. A girl from South Africa who built predictive models for weather but also for conflict. A deaf boy from Belgium who cracked NATO communications at age 9. Twins from Sao Paulo who built their own machine learning engine and shut it down before it learned to lie. A group of minds forming something new. A new circle. No titles. No kings. No pawns. Only mirrors, showing each other what the world could be. Asterisk asterisk. Weeks passed. The Slate made its first move. A fake uprising in Eastern Europe. Orchestrated tweets. Artificial outrage. Markets shook. Government scrambled. All predicted. But Malik and his circle moved faster. They didn't block it. They exposed it. Publicly. Anonymously. The slate's mask cracked. A leak here. A confession there. Suddenly, the public began asking, why are all these events following the same pattern? Who benefits? And the slate realized. The board wasn't private anymore. They weren't playing alone. Asterisk asterisk. One morning, Gloria came into Malik's room. He was drawing again. Not chessboards, but circuits, flowcharts, people, power lines, influence maps. She placed a cup of tea on his desk. You're not a kid anymore, she said. He looked up. No, he replied. But I'm not their weapon either. She sat beside him. And if they come back? He paused, then reached into his drawer and pulled out something small. The red pawn. Whole again. Not broken. Carved from wood this time. Simple. Real. I'll be ready, he said. He set it on the windowsill, where the light could hit it. Asterisk asterisk. Somewhere, underground, in a room with no windows and too many wires, a man stared at an empty chessboard on his monitor, waiting for a move. But nothing came. The screen glitched once. Then a message appeared. Game cancelled. Board removed. And below it, you're not players anymore. You're pieces. Asterisk asterisk. Malik sat back in his chair, closed his laptop, looked out the window, and smiled. The sky above Washington, D.C. was pale blue, the air too calm for what was about to happen. Inside a nondescript federal building near DuPont Circle, a high-level security briefing had just started. Men in dark suits filed into a locked room. The agenda was vague. Data sovereignty threat. Urgent. A single screen lit up at the end of the long oak table. It displayed no maps. No heat signatures. No stolen files. Just a name. Malik Owens. Silence filled the room. One man at the far end leaned forward. I thought we buried that. Another. The slate said he disappeared. He did, a woman said. Into the shadows we don't control. The screen blinked again. Now it showed hundreds of small dots, forming a spiral. Each one was a node, a person, a pulse, a movement. Connected. Decentralized. Untraceable. Then a message appeared. The world isn't yours to run anymore. It never was. We've simply stopped letting you pretend it is. Below it, a countdown began. 3 minutes. Asterisk asterisk. 3 minutes earlier, Malik sat at a cafe table in Portland, stirring his cocoa. He didn't look like a threat. No guards. No armored cars. Just a gray hoodie and a notebook open to a page filled with lines and arcs and dots that connected like constellations. Across from him, Gloria. She looked older than she had 3 months ago, but stronger too, like someone who had weathered a storm and built a home out of the wreckage. You don't have to go through with this, she said gently. Malik shook his head. It's already in motion. She looked down at the notebook. Will it hurt anyone? Only the ones who've been hurting people in silence. A pause. And if they come for you again. He met her eyes. Then they'll find I'm not a piece on their board anymore. She leaned in and touched his cheek. You were never a piece. You were the player they couldn't see coming. Asterisk asterisk. Back in the DC briefing room, the countdown hit 1 second. Then the screen flickered and split into 5 live feeds. One from London. One from Lagos. One from Bogota, one from Seoul, one from Mumbai. In each feed, a teenager stood in front of a chalkboard, a whiteboard, or public square. They were explaining something. Not code, not propaganda. Truth. Real systems. Real schemes. How the slate had been orchestrating panic, division, and war through simulated chaos, and how Malik's circle had infiltrated and disabled the heart of it. One girl ended her broadcast with a simple phrase. We're not hackers. We're not rebels. We're clarity. And she logged off. The screen in DC went black. The officials sat in stunned silence. Then one whispered, they're everywhere. Asterisk asterisk. At a storage facility on the outskirts of town, a man in a gray coat walked through rows of servers. The last of the slate's hidden vaults. One of the only ones still untouched. He stopped at the final console and typed a command. Access project rematch. Nothing. He tried again. Oh, access alpha lead. Access denied. The screen blinked. A message appeared. You're not the architect anymore. The man stepped back. Then the lights shut off, and the servers began to melt. Asterisk asterisk. Later that night, Malik stood on the Burnside Bridge, watching the water move beneath him. Next to him stood a girl with short black hair and a spiral tattoo on her wrist, one of the other kids. Her name was Nadia. She'd come up through Cairo, tracked Malik after the first leak, and joined his circle. They didn't speak at first. Then Nadia asked, "You think it's done?" Malik shook his head. "Not done. Just reset." She looked out at the river. "We could disappear again." "We will," Malik said. "When we're ready." He pulled a red pawn from his pocket, the same one he'd carved himself, and tossed it into the water. "Let them wonder." She smiled. Asterisk asterisk. Back home, Gloria found a note taped to the fridge. Not from Malik. From Veronica Sterling. "You did what I couldn't. You played their game and won without becoming them. If you ever need me again, I'll be waiting where pawns rise higher than kings." Gloria folded the note, tucked it into the drawer next to the scissors and coupons. Then she sat at the kitchen table and cried for the first time in months. Not out of fear, but relief. Asterisk asterisk. Somewhere, in a digital archive built in a lab no one admitted existed, one final file was uploaded. Encrypted. Hidden. Marked. Malik Owens. Level infinite. And in the notes field, just one line. He escaped the game. He rewrote it. Asterisk asterisk. The world didn't notice when the board changed. Not right away, but over time, people began asking the right questions. And behind every shift, every dismantled lie, every unveiled truth, someone was watching. Not as a god, not as a ghost, just as a boy with a mind too sharp to cage, and a heart too big to weaponize.